right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Now the conversation begins right now. The voice of the youth begins. Every Friday we give the young people a chance to speak about matters, politics, and everything in between there, what their pain points are, what their concerns are, what they recommend going forward, because the nation really does belong to them. More than 75% of the population is young. My guests are with me. Otieno Mokaya, advocate of the High Court, thank you for making time. Lena Mati, founder Roundtable Magazine and also a lawyer, thank you for making time. Juliet Osundwa is the ODM Young Captains, thank you for making time. And also Brian Ochieng is here, is a youth leader, thank you very much for making time. Then we have Justice Aruni, acting Deputy Secretary General, Democratic Party of Kenya, asante for making time. And Faith Ken, a youth advocate, thank you all for making time. And Mokaya, I'll start with you. What is your assessment of the state of the nation today? Are there any concerns you have as a person, or are we heading in the right direction, the wrong direction? What is your assessment?
Thank you, Trevor, for hosting us once more to speak to Kenyans. I want to start by talking to the people of Emurua Dikirr constituency for losing one of the most vibrant leaders that we have had in this country. Kenyans should want to know that nobody really cared of what Emurua Dikirr was. I also understand that he was the first MP of that constituency, but at least he put his people in the Kenyan map. He was also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, so the legal fraternity, we want to send our message of condolences to his family and his people, including the other 5 people who died in that plane crash. I think the state of the nation, to me, will speak to our state of aviation. How safe are we in the skies? How we are encroaching into flying spaces, and how regulated are we in that sky space. Also to speak to the war in Ukraine, in Iran and the Gulf states, how it's affecting us, and maybe are we looking at a fuel crisis. I think that is, to me, what is state of the nation currently. And maybe speak of the rain. We need to be warm kidogo to our people. Anything else really depends on how you look at it. Are you looking at the glass as half full or half empty? I like to urge our people to look at the things that we see. Maybe we'll speak later in this session that sometimes we don't see God because we don't look low enough. Are we appreciating the small miracles as low as waking up today to a peaceful country? Waking up today when at the JKIA our government facilitated the arrival of our children and our countrymen from places like Dubai. Are we looking at the signing of the passing of the infrastructure bill? I know we'll talk about it and speak about the ethics and the good or bad manners of Kenyans, but something like that is promising development, real development to our Kenyans. We looking at the state of health, our people getting drugs in hospitals. Yes, we can complain, but how many small miracles are we confirming or even appreciating? Because yes, how big in the sky do we want to look, or do we focus on the small wins that makes life better today and tomorrow for each and every one of us? It can't be perfect. It has never been perfect. And if we choose to complain, that is an easy thing to do. But are we looking at the small miracles that make our life better? And as I said before, maybe as a country we don't see God, or we don't appreciate the miracles in our lives because maybe we don't look low enough.
Okay. Lena, what is your assessment of the state of the nation?
First and foremost, thank you so much, Trevor, for having me on this panel. I think one of the highlights this week has been the National Infrastructure Fund. And I believe that the road to Singapore has officially begun. You know, today as I was reading my Bible, I read the story of the Exodus of the Israelites. I don't know, Trevor, if you subscribe to Christianity, but I love it to just give you that example. And when the Israelites were leaving Egypt, they had no idea of what was awaiting them. Actually, when they left, because of the level of uncertainty that was there, some of them wished to go back. And this is the road that you're traveling with the National Infrastructure Fund. But probably you could put a little bit of faith in it, because one of the reasons why the National Infrastructure Fund was brought into being was to promote development, because there was a belief that our national budget cannot be able to fund the kind of project that we would want as a country to move forward. And so because most of our money in the budget is consumed by the debt, the government looked for an alternative, which was the National Infrastructure Fund. So we are looking forward to see what this National Infrastructure Fund will bring on board, its implementation, how it will be governed, and whether it will be successful. I just hope that this will not be used as a political tool, either by both sides of the divide, that if the government, should the government choose to focus on this National Infrastructure Fund, it will be for overall development. Should the opposition also choose to fight it, it will not fight it from a point of biasness, but it will fight it from a point of objectivity. One of the problems that I have, especially with the opposition, is if you look at the United Kingdom has the office of the official opposition, and they have a shadow cabinet that comes up with alternative policies. So if they are not in agreement with the policies that the government is making, then they have the leeway to come up with alternative policies. I think that is what our official opposition should be focusing on. Secondly, I also think we've entered into a mood of active campaigns. Well, it is worrying because most of the countries like Singapore and countries like Malaysia and countries that have developed, their campaigns almost begin like a month to the elections. But for us, we've now begun almost like 17 months to the elections. That means neglect of the health sector. It means neglect of education for in exchange of campaigns. So I think as citizens, this is also our time to check our government. Let's not just be excited about going to rallies and, moving around politicians. It's also time to check them and ask them, what have you done at this point? So it's time to assess them. Yes, thank you.
Osundwa?
Thank you so much, Trevor. And this morning, I'm joining my fellow Kenyans to send my condolences to the family and friends of Honorable Ngeno. And talking about the state of the nation, first to know that in the village, the villagers, when they are used to the drum beats of one drum, and then now the other dancers join the dance floor with a different move, they are amazed, they are surprised. So with the election fever right now that is going on, you find that people have already started aligning themselves. And the president of Kenya is also there trying to defend his seat. So, and also when you look to the infrastructure, you find that there is this ongoing ongoing building of the bombers and also the stadium. You find that also when it comes to the social movements, and everybody is there, the youths are there, they are trying also to come into space to participate. And also when it comes to now how the state of the youths now, things to do with the drugs, they have started to to abuse drugs, and that thing is really affecting the youths at the moment. So I think the state of the nation right now is in pieces, and if we don't come together, we as the youth, and pass our voice out there so that we can be heard and be engaged and be mentored, I think we shall get lost in the confusion.
Okay.
Yes.
Brian, what is your assessment of the state of the nation?
Thank you, Trevor. First, if you allow me, I may begin to thank God for giving us this great opportunity of yet another life full of good health. And thank you too to the citizen fraternity for coming up with this noble concept of allowing the youth to also share some of the concepts that they have and also views as to the state of the nation. Going to the question concerning the state of the nation, my personal view, I think the greatest concern that I have is the unpleasant or maybe unpleasing mindset that for me it's the main reason for the retrogressive state of our political atmosphere, development. There's this mindset that has been perpetuated by the political class, especially on opposition side, that we tend to shy away from the one main and the most powerful clause of our constitution, talking about the sovereignty of the people. This sovereignty of the people, it does not necessarily mean that you point out the government. that this is not right, this is not. It also means at some point you should also applaud the government that this one you've done it right. So for me, the greatest state that we is about that mindset, which makes me feel that it's high time we need to change how we do our politics, because all these things that we are complaining of, the source of all these challenges and everything is about the politics, the bad politics we are having, and the bad governance, which is as a result of the bad politics.
Okay. All right. Jesse?
Thank you very much, Trevor, for having me this morning. And I want to begin by sending my deepest condolences to the family of Honorable Ole Kisiara. He's our neighbor from my home county, and it's so saddening that we have lost him and their other 5 members. Apart from that, I want to say that as a country, we are between the rock and a hard place. When the current president was campaigning, he said that we were in a trench and we need to stop digging. But when he took office, he did the opposite. He dug even more. So right now we are doing badly as a country, and the right proverb that can use to describe this moment is when a son is sent by the father to go and steal, they do not do that stealthily. They knock the door with their feet. And that is what we are seeing right now happening all over the country. We are seeing a lot of corruption. Recently, with the infrastructure fund, we saw a cabinet secretary lying to the public, lying to the members of parliament, that that was a fund, and then he swore an affidavit in court that it was a limited liability company. So we have seen a lot of instances. The Talanta Stadium, we lost 11 billion. And what I will say is that as a country, we are doing badly. We need to sit back, think about what we want, and come up with proper way forward. And the youth of this country stand to lead in that matter. So I want to urge all the youth, young people of this country, to be vibrant, to continue talking to each other, talk about these issues, let us register as voters so that we can make the right decision when the time is right.
Okay. Faith?
Thank you so much, Trevor. First, I would also want to thank you for having me on the show again. And just now to kick into the topic, it's been a sad week, I think, to everyone in the nation. We've been mourning. And I would also want to pass my condolences to the people of Mordicare for the loss of their leader, and also to his family. And it's just motivating to learn that we still have such caliber of leaders who are so passionate about their work and the things they do, and just they know why they were elected. And at the same time, it's so nauseating to learn that, to listen to just some of the comments from especially the people at the opposition side, that we politic, even in situations that are supposed to be, just let the family have their time, let the people mourn the constituents. They've just lost their leader, for God's sake. So it's been a tough week, but also I'm just glad that the conversations we've been having in leadership, in governance, it's still going, and we keep on pushing, we keep on raising our voices. The youth keeps on having dialogues. Right now the PDF is ongoing, and I've seen young people taking part in it, just to show up and to prove to show that, you know, it is the time, and we're actually going out. So the only thing that has not been happening, which we've also been talking about, is just the voter registration. That is where the youth are still lagging behind. But it's good that the week is coming on along, and the youth are coming out. Yeah, so for me, that is the highlight of the week.
Okay. Let me bring back Mokai on this. Mokai, you spoke about the small wins in the infrastructure bill. Is that a small win? What do you understand by it, the National Infrastructure Bill?
By small win, Trevor, I mean to sarcastically trivialize big things, because that is how we want to look at them. You can reduce something to what really you want to look at it. And the good thing about doing is that you don't have time to talk about it, and you only know that somebody is doing nothing by how loud they are about things. So my description of the infrastructure fund as a small thing is not because I look at it like that, but that is what we have been told to look at it like. You hear things like it's a limited liability company. You hear things like what else have been done that this is coming to do. You hear things like is this something to benefit a little people or even benefit a section of people? Is it another avenue for corruption? Those are things we hear, things that are supposed to be loud enough to distract us from what we are looking at. I want to reduce it to this. What do we complain of as a country? We complain about roads. We complain about public infrastructure. We complain about airports with roofs that are leaking. We complain about everything that we see that is wrong, that touches of brick and mortar. The few things that make trade possible, the few things that make essential services possible, the few things that delay an ambulance for 1 or 2 minutes. That's what I mean by small things that make the little miracles that make our lives better possible. The Infrastructure Fund, my understanding, we lie to people by composition reading of otherwise technical issues. If you read things the way you read compositions, you'll get them wrong because there are rules of interpretation of things like laws, rules of interpretation of things like the Public-Private Partnership Act. You hear people speaking of things that can be reduced to simple jealous, simple wivu. The ideation of projects looking like the corruption aspect of it, and because of the people who are talking about this are not new faces. These are people who have been in previous governments, and we have said in other forums that the hue and cry that we hear about good things is not reduced to those things. It's about the anatomy of our corrupt practices. It's about the things we see in good things. People are traumatized by their own vices. We can't stand what we do. That's why you find thieves are double locking their doors, witches are walking around with charms, and the people who have participated in looting of this country in previous regimes are looking at these projects as things they have done before. And they are traumatized by this, not because it's a bad thing. They are traumatized by this, but because suddenly they are not part of the anticipated looting. When you look at the Mau Summit Road, they look at those billions and think about their 10-20% cuts in the SGR deal. They look at Talanta Stadium and complain about it because they are looking at it in what they did in Thika Road. They look at the airport and the PPP. They don't look at somebody bringing their own money instead of us borrowing. They look at it with a 10%. How much have they made? And they can't stand it. Why? We can't stand our vices. We are traumatized by the things we do to people when we look at them. In my place, they say, what it means, there's no thief who wants to be stolen from. There's no witch who doesn't want to see a grave in his compound. So, when you look at the Infrastructure Fund, the people who look at it positively are people who are hopeful, people who have a little faith in the small miracles that make our lives better. The people who jump on it and look at it differently are people who are traumatized by their own theft, that they can't stand not being part of the loot or being stolen from. Engage me, Trevor. If you don't look at things in the right way, you'll find a way to find 1% fault in 99% good things. The PPP Act sector invests in public function with a little fee for the benefit. We are buying tomorrow without being loaned. What it means in simple terms for those who are friends is instead of going to a loan, to borrow a loan at 20% interest, a friend of yours who's liquid is willing to give you 20,000 shillings to pay your rent with the promise that once your salary comes, you'll pay them. It's rent you could have paid anyway, but you have somebody who's willing to pay. Are we enjoying the expressway? Yes, we are. That's where we cruise in our BMWs in 100 kilometers per hour. How much will it have cost for that same infrastructure to be sourced from our taxes? A lot, or maybe loans that we complain about. We are in a hole. We can't do without development. But what are the alternatives? Do you look at the jealous you have in things that you are not part of, or do you look at the public good?
Okay.
Are we bitter about things that we can't do now, or do we look at things objectively? Kwa mpinzani sio kupinga kila kitu. Can we do objective opposition? Can we point at things that are going wrong, or even can we provide alternative ideas?
Okay. Brilliant place to leave it. Let's take a quick break here. When we come back, we continue that conversation a bit on the National Infrastructure Fund, what they understand from it, and also the political realignments and the direction that it's taking. We're back in just a short while. Keep your views coming as well at Trevor Mbidi at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Daybreak. See you in a short while.